This episode of the Fans Talk Pro Wrestling podcast has been brought to you by our friends in the Squared Circle of Trust. Become a member today to access exclusive content as well as early access to content just like this. Head on over to fanstalkprowrestling.com, click the big green button, and support us by pledging a few dollars a month. Beard! For the Fans Talk family at fanstalkpodcast.com, this is episode 301 of Fans Talk Pro Wrestling. Tonight we're talking about last night's Monday Night Raw, pejoratively. Last night's because we record this on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern-ish. And my name is Joe, and with me tonight is the one, the only, Nick. Say hello, Nick.
Heavy emphasis on the ish.
Ish, yeah. Sorry to those who normally listen to us. That we haven't been doing live shows. Garvin's been not at his usual setup, and obviously tonight he is not with us. He is still with us. He has not shaken loose the mortal coil. He is still around, but he couldn't make it to join us tonight. Another reason why we're not doing a live show tonight, so apologies. But you know what? Hey, you're listening to us. You got us in your podcatcher. You're giving us a listen. Oh my God! All right. So Nick, is there anything to say before we get into Raw?
Not particularly. I guess wrestling has been pretty decent this week overall, I think.
I thought it was decent.
Even Raw, it was actually bearable to watch the intro.
Yeah, when you kick off Raw with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman, and obviously Heyman on the mic, because Lesnar on the mic is akin to bad things. Yeah, I think I think it was a good start with Dean Ambrose or Lesnar and Heyman talking up the main event of Fast Lane and heading on to WrestleMania and to face Triple H. And Dean Ambrose comes out, goes nose to nose with Lesnar. Said he didn't want to go out there, but figured he'd get out there, essentially face his fears, even though he didn't say he feared Lesnar, and tell Lesnar he respected him. What's great about that is Lesnar, didn't attack him.
Yeah, that was a really well done segment. I feel like obviously you had Heyman hyping things up, which is, you can never go wrong with that. But Ambrose coming out and, I think he really has lived up to the moniker that he's bestowed upon himself, being the Iron Man of the WWE. That last man standing match at the Rumble, you can't put Ambrose down. We'll see how well that holds up at Fastlane with Lesnar, but you've got a legitimate tough guy in Ambrose, and that's going to be really interesting to see how that plays out.
Yeah, I'm excited to see this. Not for much as much with Reigns at Fastlane and Lesnar, but I want to see how Ambrose works with Lesnar. Obviously, Ambrose is the little guy in this whole thing, so I think it'd be neat to see him work in that capacity.
Yeah, it is weird to think of Ambrose as a little guy because he does top 6 feet. I think he and Reigns are actually the same height, but Reigns is more built, I guess. So yeah, Ambrose is coming in as the underdog, the literal underdog, not the figurative underdog that the WWE just loves to paint Reigns as. Yeah.
I mean, Reigns is still, it's the Samoan build, really.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Lesnar, who isn't exactly tall. He's big, but he is not as tall as he previously felt. Yeah, so I'm excited by that first segment. Moving on from that, we saw the Usos versus Social Outcasts, Adam Rose and Curtis Axel. Bo Dallas was absent from ringside because Bo Rida was out recording a new album with the thanks to Heath Slater.
Red Dragon.
Yes, Red Dragon. My bad. But yeah, I like the Social Outcasts, but it's almost like they're trying to recreate some of the New Day hype, trying to do it with the Social Outcasts. I don't know if you feel that way, Nick, but it just seems like they're really pushing it too hard to me.
I can maybe see that a little bit. I think they're still trying to find that sweet spot where they're really gelling. You know, a little bit like you saw in the very early days of the New Day, where they were trying to find their niche. And, you know, Adam Rose has become such an off-the-wall character. Really, all his characters have been pretty off the wall. But you've got 4 wildly different wrestlers. And it's going to take a while for them to find any real rhythm, if they ever do at all. But, you know, as just considering this match alone, I thought they did a good job.
Yeah, I mean, it was a fun match to watch. I mean, what they're doing has been fun. I just find I think they're forcing it too much to me.
Yeah, I definitely do think this new fascination with stables isn't really the best thing. Yeah, it's a really attractive option if you want to get in a whole bunch of guys and try and, I don't know, maybe create the illusion of depth with the roster, you know, with all the injuries that have been going on. But yeah, maybe this is too much too fast. I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure they'll work it out. Otherwise, these guys are just going to they're going to fall into obscurity even more. Which, I mean, really, there's not much further to go.
Yeah.
But at least these guys are doing something. But it just seems, if it wasn't as forced, like if it was just a little touch of something when they come out to do stuff, as opposed to being that, hey, like they're just trying to push it too hard. I think that's where it wears on me. And I know I've said I've liked them and like I'm excited for them. They've been like my wins of the weeks the last couple of weeks, and it hasn't exactly changed. It's just it hasn't had time to grow. It needs to grow organically, not be pushed.
Yeah, you can only have so much of that awkward brand of humor before it starts to, you know, actually feel legitimately awkward rather than intentional awkwardness. So, yeah, I totally get where you're coming from there.
Yeah. Usos got the win, which led into the Miz TV segment with the Miz talking to the one and only phenomenal one, AJ Styles. And through most of it, AJ just kind of sat there, just watching Miz. I mean, did he even answer a question?
He made a few attempts before Miz would yank the mic away from him, which, you know, I thought they pulled off that whole segment very well. Say what you will about how compelling his feuds have been or the quality of his work, at least his in-ring work, but you can't take anything away from him on the mic. He has a very strong case for being the best heel in that company right now, because he has a real gift for taking the crowd and putting it in the palm of the hands of anybody who's in the ring with him. And if from that point on, it's on the face. And if he can't hold on to the crowd while he's going up against the Miz, then he doesn't deserve to be there. He's not going to last. And I think AJ did a great job of taking the crowd, taking the ball and running with it. You know, finally getting enough of the Miz's crap and actually cold-cocking him. So, yeah, I think they handled this really well, both Miz and AJ.
Yeah, I think it's going to work. I find Miz's gimmick to be tired right now. I'm sure a lot of people do, and I think that's part of the reason why they keep doing it. It's because they have nothing else for him to do. There's really not a way they're going to reinvent him anymore right now, unless they have another movie for him to go do. But Miz, I mean, say what you will about liking the Miz or not liking the Miz. The fact is, he is right. He's been there for over 10 years. And he's been a consistent worker. Whether or not you enjoy his work, that's a whole nother story, but he's been consistent. I may be one of the few people who really enjoyed his WWE Championship run. I think he still has potential in that realm, but not in the current gimmick. But because he's such a consistent worker and kind of he's, in a way, you can kind of say he's some type of benchmark. He's one of, I think, their benchmarks.
Yeah, he's a great gatekeeper.
Yeah. Do you think we're going to see Miz and AJ at Fast Lane?
I don't know about that. I don't really see Miz wanting anything else to do with AJ after the beating AJ laid down on him. I'm sure it's possible, but I worry that the WWE would want to continue with AJ versus Jericho.
See, I think that's going to be a WrestleMania match.
I really hope not. Jericho has no business being in the ring anymore. It's certainly not with a guy like AJ Styles, who was at the top of his game right now. The top of his game was a few years back. If that soon.
Yeah, I mean, Jericho used to be on the top of his game. And he still can be. I think he can get back on top. The problem is that I think right now they have him relying so much because he's part-time. They have him relying too much on his previous catchphrases and stuff like that and trying to connect to the crowd that way outside of being a new character. If he was full-time, I could totally see them doing a newer character for Jericho, much like the best in the world at what I do, Jericho, which was fantastic work. But I could see him, because he would be another benchmark, another gatekeeper for the WWE, and I could see him and AJ having a good match. But I think Jericho needs to continue the DDP yoga, but he's a little thicker on the midsection. He's been reminding me of a later in life John Ritter, as far as like even in the face. And it's probably just because he's getting older. I mean, he's what, 50 something?
Definitely in his mid to late 40s.
Chris Jericho is 45.
Okay, so mid 40s.
Mid 40s.
Yeah, I think if you put him in the ring with somebody bigger than him, somebody like more of a heavyweight, then yeah, I could definitely see him, one, being able to keep up a lot better, and two, putting on a much better match than we saw in AJ's first match on Raw. But AJ, he's much more fast-paced, he's much more hard-hitting, and Jericho can't keep up that way. Like, even back at Beast in the East, when Jericho faced off against Neville had to slow down a lot. So, yeah, I don't think having Jericho face off against, like, your cruiserweights, your light heavyweights, or your junior heavyweights, maybe, I don't think that's a great move. You would have to have him facing off against a bigger guy.
You like Jericho facing off against a bigger guy? I don't see it. Jericho has to be the bigger guy at this point because he's not fast enough. I think if there was a bigger guy, if Jericho was facing a bigger guy, he would actually have to be quicker. Because right now, I think he's more on bigger man speed.
Okay, I can see that. In that case, I think you'd actually have to have Jericho wrestle like he is the bigger guy. Because in the match against AJ, you saw him relying on his previous offense, like he was still a junior heavyweight, a cruiserweight.
Right. I mean, he's always going to go back to that. He's always going to go back to that. That's what he can do. But it can work if he's as the bigger guy, because he's not doing as much of it. So I think it kind of works, and it puts him more as a technical wrestler with a little bit more high flyer moves than the high flyer he tended to be previously. But either way, AJ versus Jericho at a pay-per-view, it has potential, but I don't necessarily think it's going to work. But I don't know what they're going to do with AJ outside of that.
They would have to do a lot to build that up after what I saw on Raw in order for me to get interested. As for other things AJ could be doing, if it weren't for the fact that Kalisto's U.S. champion right now, I'd have AJ versus Kalisto in a heartbeat, but I don't want AJ gunning for a title right now.
Even if you did, who'd be
AJ
the heel?
Versus Neville.
Who'd be the heel if you did?
Yeah, for sure.
No, who would be, is my question.
Oh, AJ would be the heel, hands down.
Okay.
I don't think Kalisto can pull off a heel, not yet.
And I with the way he's coming in, I don't necessarily, and the way they're starting to use him, I don't see AJ going heel.
Right.
And if AJ's going to be a heel, he's got to be solo. He can't align with anybody.
Yeah.
But I think he's too new. And the way he came in with the crowd reaction he did, I think it's better that he comes in either as a face, most likely the anti-hero, like Austin kind of was. I think that's the perfect role for him right now. Moving on, we hit Brie Bella versus Charlotte. Brie wins with a roll up.
That was weak across the board. Like Charlotte, God bless her, she tried, but I don't think Brie cares anymore. I wish that she did, because there was a point when she did, and she was actually pretty decent. But it seems like ever since Nikki turned heel and they had those two facing off against each other, after coming out of that, it seemed like Brie just lost all her momentum.
Yeah, Brie definitely did. Because I know Nikki's the one who got the push. I think Brie was actually getting to be the better worker. But with Nikki being out, and I had a complaint because I didn't list it in the doc. they did a segment right before this match where it was Brie talking about Nikki and her, they did a little vignette thing about her, how she's going to be out for at least 3 months. She needs 3 months of time at home just to rest her back. Mm-hmm. And they talked about her injury, how the C12 disc? No. The disc is bulged or slipped out or whatever. One, did you not know you were going to have a back problem by doing that finisher?
Yeah. The way she hits it, it's small wonder. She should have just kept it as a torture rack, as a submission. The way she's hitting it, and she's not holding onto them tightly, it's pretty loose. So the impact of the other woman on her back, it's going to jack her up.
Yeah, she's a piston at that point. But even if she did it and went to, did the sit down on it, but as she came down, let them go, so they didn't actually impact her shoulders and just fell. It still has the same. I think it still has the same visual effect that they were going for, and it could have saved her spine. But with Brie most likely retiring soon so that she can go have kids with Daniel Bryan, and Nikki out with this injury, I don't like the fact that they did this update because it cock teases the fact that Nikki might actually come back, and I don't think she's going to. I think this is severe enough that this is going to sideline her career.
Yeah,
I just don't think it's fair to the fans that like the Bellas.
Yeah, that's entirely fair to say. I'm not quite as sold on this being a career ender. This sounds terrible to say. I hope it is, just because, Nikki has done a lot in that division. She became the longest reigning Divas champion, and she got a monster push. And she got to the point where she was a pretty good worker. I don't think she really needs to come back. I think this is a good final run for her.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good that she goes.
I hate that it's under these sort of circumstances, but
lining. Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Nick, on that. But I think her time. I don't think she was going to keep up with the new crop of divas that are coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And if she's not doing it, I don't think Brie is either. I don't think Brie's had enough time. She hasn't had enough of a push to force her to get good like that.
Yeah, it's definitely seemed like with the Bellas, when one is getting the push, the other one just fades back into the background. And if Nikki was sticking around and was still getting that push, and she couldn't keep up, I mean, Brie just would have been window dressing at that point.
Right. I mean, she pretty much was.
Yeah, this interview, when Brie's going into the match and all the interviewer wants to know is, how's your sister doing? That in kayfabe, that's gotta suck for your ego.
Yep.
And the fact that she might actually be getting a title shot out of that.
And remember, a short time ago, she was a heel, her and Alicia Fox, and now they're kind of faces because Nikki's in the hospital.
Yeah, that's something that's always annoyed me about the Bellas. When they play heels on TV, but they're always treated as faces because of Total Divas. And yeah, getting a face turn out of a family member being injured. I totally get that. Under normal circumstances, that totally makes sense to me. It's just, in this particular set of circumstances, it's reminiscent of a whole slew of bad decisions on creative's part that I don't like it.
Yeah. So yeah, to actually look at the match though, Brie versus Charlotte, Ric Flair was the distraction, while Foxy decided she would get involved with Rick, causing enough distraction that Charlotte was rolled up by Brie for the pin. Moving on, because we've spent enough time, we need to move on. Yeah. Big Show versus Eric Rowan. What did you think of this match, Nick?
It was a thing. I don't know why Big Show is a face again. There never seems to be any rhyme or reason to it. Having Big Show and Strowman, kind of at odds, that's intriguing just to see Strowman kind of supplant Big Show as the dominant big guy. But, Big Show is just the world's largest jobber at this point. Eric Rowan is the Wyatt's jobber, so, the match happened, but it was gratifying to see the Wyatts beat Big Show down afterwards.
Yeah, Big Show coming. I mean, every time they take him off TV, he's flipping from face to heel or heel to face from whatever he was last.
Mm.
Rowan is getting better, which is good. And I think him versus Big Show, I think can be a solid match. Because Big Show is another one of those gatekeepers. He's one of those guys who uses a gatekeeper. Another one is Kane. But Rowan can show off the fact that he can work like a big guy, mostly because I think that's a little easier for him.
Considering his size, yeah, absolutely. Besides that spinning heel kick, which I adore.
Yeah, he's a big guy who's got a few high flying moves. He's got the moonsault, and like the spinning heel kick is nice. I would love to see him use the final cut that Big Show is using. So he set what. And I know he's named a few moves to this, but basically it was the one where he sets him up kind of like how Wyatt does the Sister Abigail. So he's got him in that leaning on their back in the headlock, but he would spin around and drop an elbow on him, like a sit-out elbow.
Yeah.
And I know he called that the final cut, and they called something else the final cut at one point because of the Big Show. But I would love to see Rowan do that to Big Show, just for the fans who knew Big Show used to do that move. I think it would be kind of neat. I think Rowan's got a lot more potential. I like the fact that, the Wyatts did beat him up after the match, which means we're going to see something with Big Show versus either Rowan or Strowman or something, or even a couple of them at Fast Lane.
Yeah, that would make sense.
The only problem with that is they're deciding to lead it into Bray versus Big Show at WrestleMania. That would be poor.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. I don't like that move.
I'm just saying, with the faction, I can see it being a possible natural progression.
Oh, yeah. I definitely see where you're going with that, and I agree. It's just on the WWE's part, that doesn't make sense. It should be Bray versus Brock at Mania.
That would be phenomenal. But we're not really going to see it. I mean, unless we see some involvement at Fastlane to screw Brock over, I'm not exactly sure when they're going to fit that together.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of the interactions we saw at the Rumble, which could mean absolutely nothing.
True.
It could have just been like, hey, we want to see how this would work, but we're really not going to do anything with it for another 6 to 12 months. Moving on, Titus O'Neil fought Tyler Breeze. I don't understand what they're doing with either guy.
No, and I don't think they do either. I don't know why. Well, I have a good idea why Tyler Breeze isn't getting the push that he got when he came to the main roster. It's because Vince. Tyler Breeze is too much of a pretty boy for him. But, Breeze is deserving of so much more. And he came in like a house on fire during the Rumble and like right off the bat gave AJ the beauty shot, which I thought was excellent. But, having him lose to Titus O'Neil of all people, as great as that guy is a personality, and like he's even a serviceable wrestler, that guy's got nothing going on. He's going to be retiring in a year. So, yeah, I don't know. I guess this is another thing where you trot these guys out and have them have a match to give the WWE the illusion of depth in the roster. That's the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, Tyler Breeze, if I'm going to push one of these two guys, it would have been Tyler. I know Tyler came in and his first feud on the main roster was Ziggler, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. I think that had a lot more potential. I think they wasted it there. And with Breeze, if Vince isn't looking at Breeze and going, this guy is going to be money, someone needs to remind him of Jericho, of HBK, and of Dolph Ziggler. I think if you combine those three guys, you end up with a guy like Tyler Breeze.
Yeah,
Tyler's got the charisma for it. He's got the skill set for it. He's got the ability. I don't understand, outside of just pushing him and letting him go. I don't get why they're not doing anything with him.
Yeah, if nothing else, take advantage of the fact that Zoolander 2 is coming up soon and just have him riff off that for a while. If for no other reason than to add a little bit of extra relevance to Raw.
Let him fight Ben Stiller.
Why not?
Ben Stiller and David Arquette team up to face Tyler Breeze and I don't care who. That would be hilarious.
For that matter, I have no idea why they split up Tyler Breeze and Summer Rae. You weren't doing anything with her before, and those two make a tremendous pair. Why you would split them up on TV, I do not understand.
Is she
You,
on
you
Total
are throwing
Divas?
away money. She's not a featured member. I think she makes appearances, like cameos, the way Alicia Fox used to do, but no.
I don't know. I mean, I know you were watching that show at one point, so I wasn't sure if you were still watching it or.
No, it's been a couple seasons since I've watched.
Okay. Oh, they did. This is not still the second season? Okay. I don't know.
Like they're on season 5 now, I think.
Oh, holy hell.
I do know that Summer Rae does, like, Renee Young has a after show segment, like how The Walking Dead has The Talking Dead. I know Total Divas has something like that with Renee Young, and I've seen one clip with Summer Rae in it, so I wonder if those two do that show together.
Okay. The only reason I was curious was because if Summer Rae, if they're going to try and do something else with Summer Rae, I can see them pulling them apart and giving her time off of TV in order to have us forget. That way it's easier for them to do whatever they want with her when she comes back.
Mm.
That would be my only reasoning. Unless they thought they were going to push Tyler Breeze and he pissed somebody off. But from what we saw on Breaking Ground, he was really all about helping other people and stuff like that, to improve their game. So being involved with that, I don't understand why they wouldn't give him a push.
Yeah, everything I've heard and like the stuff he does on Up, Up, Down, Down on YouTube, that dude's just a stand-up guy and funny as hell.
Yeah, we're missing something. Maybe 2007 or 2016 is going to be his year. I'm hoping.
I hope so.
Because he did fantastic work in NXT. Maybe they're just trying to give the NXT fans a little bit of cool down with him before they do push him. I don't know. Maybe because Neville didn't fly off the handle like they expected him to, so they're being a little more cautious.
Possibly.
Because Neville really didn't take off. Pardon the flying pun, but...
Yeah, I wish I knew what happened with that.
Yeah. So... But, we move from Tyler Breeze on to Dolph Ziggler versus Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens, I have to say, he's probably the best heel they've got going in the WWE right now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, hands down. Hands down. It's just... I think all his experience in like Ring of Honor and in the Indies has really helped him. I mean, he's an extremely versatile guy. He can do the brawler, he can do the high flying as we've seen. He's not afraid to do that either. You add in the fact that like at one point there's a kid trying to high five him in the crowd. He goes up for the high five. The kid goes to high five him, and he's like, "Oh, sorry." I'm like the fact that you catch those interactions with the crowd, I think, is a huge selling point. Because it's those little touches that really help him push that heel character, that bully character, and he's doing phenomenal work. He got teamed up to face Ziggler, who's we've always said he's a great worker, and since they're not doing anything with him anyway, he could just fly off the handle. I really enjoyed this match. This was a nice, fast-paced, for the most part, match. Both guys were cutting their teeth on each other. And I found the ending to be beautiful. With Owens setting Ziggler up for the pop-up powerbomb. As he gets popped up, he hooks it around and hits a zigzag. It was like gorgeous. If these guys have a Fast Lane match, I will be ecstatic. It like that could be match of the night. The way these two are working.
I've made it known that I am definitely not a Ziggler fan. That sort of move, and the curb stomp reversal Orton pulled off at Mania, things like that are awesome. But if they do continue with this feud, and they do have Ziggler versus Owens at Fastlane, Owens had better be going over. I don't think Ziggler should be pushed. I think he makes a great enhancement talent at this point, but I don't like much of anything about him anymore. Like, the whole 80s knockoff character. Stop it. Just go and keep trying at comedy. That's clearly where your passion is.
Yeah, he's basically, it seems like he's doing good work. At least consistent work, but he's not looking to get pushed at this point, I don't think, because I think he's going to not re-sign and just go off to comedy.
Yeah, well, he re-signed relatively recently, so he's going to be around for like a couple more years, I think, which that's going to be torturous, just watching him wait out till the end of the contract.
Oh, or we're going to see him in some WWE films. That could be the catch.
That too. I wonder what kind of film it'd be, because I definitely don't see him in any of, like, the Marines or anything like that. Like, Condemned or...
Yeah, but did you see...
What was Ambrose? 12 rounds?
Yeah. I think he's in the third 12 rounds. Like 36 rounds or something. I don't... But, I mean, like, you don't see him doing, like, the Miz role. Like, I have that Santa's Little Helper DVD, and I fell asleep watching it, where Miz is the main character. And it's just very hard to believe. I was rooting for the bad guys in that because, well, Paige was one of them. And hot. Hot as hell in that movie. So maybe they're going to do something with him. I don't know what. He could do leading actor in a WWE film.
I think he was going to be one of the main guys of that network show, Swerved, before apparently the talent went on strike and like refused to do it just because it was causing like actual real life problems. But I could see him getting his own network show. I don't know what it'd be, but
yeah, but that's not a reason to keep him around.
Yeah, I mean he has his fans for whatever reason. Sorry, Nay. So I don't know. Maybe he is still enough of a draw with a certain segment of the audience.
I enjoy his matches. I just feel bad for the character now because it's got no life.
Yeah.
If they find a way to reinvent him to give him a push, it would be great. But
God, remember that time when we all marked the hell out when he successfully cashed in on Del Rio?
That was so amazing. And then
what happened?
Concussions.
Oh yeah, that'll do it.
Moving along, Sasha Banks versus Becky Lynch. Before this match, Sasha was, giving a promo how she's, worked hard and it's now going to be her time. And Team Bad came out and said, "Oh yeah, we want to give you props." And Sasha's like, "I may be going out on my own, but we're still family." And of course, that ends badly with Team Bad trying to quote watch her back. But when they actually do try to attack Becky, Sasha stops them, and then Team Bad just gets pissed off, attacks Sasha. Then Sasha and Becky clear the ring of Team Bad, kind of face off with them. I'm not sure how I like this. I mean, I kind of like it, but where does that leave Sasha and Becky? And when we're going into Fast Lane, I mean, are we doing a triple threat with Charlotte? Because that's what initially I was hoping for. But if Sasha and Becky are teaming up, and how are you getting Team Bad involved here? I mean, do you end up seeing them backing up Charlotte at all? Or are we just going to get Sasha Banks and Becky Lynch versus Team Bad at Fastlane? I'm not really sure where they're gonna go with it. Any storyline involving Sasha Banks kicking some ass, I think is a good one because she's fantastic fun to watch. Not that Becky isn't, but Sasha's there's something about it that she's got it. She's got that star potential.
Yeah, Sasha has a ton of charisma and natural ability. I'm worried that this really does seal the deal that we are going to be getting Brie versus Charlotte for the title at Fastlane, while Sasha and Becky face off against Naomi and Tamina. Team Bad versus Team Bay, bringing that back from NXT. With that said, Sasha and Becky as a unit, that's not a bad thing. I enjoyed what they did in NXT together. It's just one of those two absolutely should be fighting for the title instead of Brie.
Oh, I agree completely.
I would not say no to a tag match between the remaining members of Team Bella versus the remaining members of Team Bad.
I could see Sasha and Becky facing off against Team Bad if Brie's getting that match at Fastlane.
Mm.
The Divas Championship match. And then you have those two face off the following night on Raw to determine who's going to be the number one contender to the Divas title.
I could absolutely see that.
You could have even if it was Team Bad who happened to win, then you have the members of Team Bad facing off to decide. Not that they're actually going to do that, but
yeah, I couldn't see Naomi and Tamina fighting. Not with the emphasis on family that they've been putting on on that entire family, like Naomi, Tamina, the Usos, and Roman Reigns, and all of them.
Yeah, they just kind of dropped oh yeah, she's married to an Uso.
Yeah, that was the entire basis for those two teaming up. That was the first thing they said the first night they walked out together. Is that nobody's tighter than blood. Nobody's tighter than family.
Yep. So there you go. Show continued on with the New Day versus Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. New Day on top of their game as always. This went well till Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose won, and then Lesnar attacked Ambrose post match for not attacking him earlier in the night. I mean, we've already talked about Lesnar, Ambrose, and Reigns, so I'm going to shift this a little bit. Nick, where do you see them? What do you see them doing with the New Day come WrestleMania?
Oh, come WrestleMania.
Because if you can figure that out, we can work back to Fast Lane.
I think I still see them being tag team champs by WrestleMania. Is if you weren't going to take the belts away from them at the Royal Rumble, I don't see the New Day losing them at Fastlane. I think if you want a heel team like that to drop the belts, it's got to be a big deal. You got to be pushing a face team. Hopefully not the Usos, but at this point, I don't know who that would be.
Yeah, that's where I'm lost. It's like, who do you have faced them? Dudleys?
Maybe it's the Golden Truth. Maybe they finally come together. I hope that happens. Those two have been gold together.
No, I mean...
pun intended.
Even Goldust back when he was with Booker T. Like, Goldust can work in a tag team, and they can do the comedy thing, and I think R-Truth can do the comedy thing. I think they'd be very entertaining. I don't think they're anywhere close to a tag team championship.
Yeah.
I mean, I would almost do the Social Outcast before I would do them. At WrestleMania. Something tells me, though, New Day will not be on the main card if we don't get a strong face tag team to come up to face them. We're going to see a tag team like Battle Royal. Oh, that's what it could be. It could be a tag team Battle Royal as a pre-show to determine which tag team goes on to face New Day.
There you go.
I mean, the rumor has been that Rock teams up with the Usos to fight New Day.
Oh, and just a 6-man tag?
In a 6-man tag. And I don't want to see that. Because it's just going to be Rock.
Yeah, the Usos are just going to be there. It's not going to be great for anybody involved.
Yeah. And it's everybody getting beat up by The Rock. And I think that's a waste of The Rock at that point. Not that I want to see The Rock at WrestleMania, or at least wrestling in WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think it was pretty much established that he's not going to have a match. What he's going to be doing, I don't know. But...
well, probably something similar to the Ronda Rousey bit they did last year.
Yeah. Do you think Sin Cara would be healthy by then?
I don't even know what he's injured with.
I believe it's a dislocated shoulder. I know it's something to do with his shoulder.
Then yes. Let's see. I'm taking a quick look at his Wikipedia page to see if it lists.
Because while I'm not crazy about the Lucha Dragons getting together again, if Sin Cara does get healthy, I could very easily see them pushing the Lucha Dragons back into that scene.
December 28th. He dislocated his shoulder in a match with Big E, leaving him out of action. Then yeah, that even makes, I mean, if he got injured facing Big E, there's a little bit of storyline there too. To have Lucha Dragons take them on, I could get behind that. But who would you have take the U.S. title off of Kalisto? Kalisto, thank you. I'm looking at the Hunico page for the injury.
Yeah.
That's where that came from.
Definitely not Alberto Del Rio. That ship has sailed. I hope that ends soon. I don't know. I don't even really want another member of the League of Nations to take up that crusade again. Another heel that would be good against Kalisto. If it weren't for the fact, or if it weren't for the possibility that Stardust might no longer be a thing by then, I would say him. But, Stardust has been cryptically talking about this is the end of Stardust, so I don't know.
Do you think that has anything to do with David Bowie? The Ziggy Stardust moniker?
That was a little bit after. It's possible, but I don't know how likely that is.
I mean, Tyler Breeze, there could be a...
Yes.
Tyler Breeze versus God damn it, Kalisto. I think that could be a great match.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I would love that.
Why was I going to say D&D? WWE, book it. Jesus. yeah, I think that's going to be my new for the moment dream match. I think that's pretty solid. Uh, so yeah, I mean that's so then we get New Day versus Lucha Dragons. I like. Unless you really need to put the Dudleys on the card, then you got New Day versus Dudleys. Dudleys get what, number 25, and call it a day.
In the title match.
Yeah, if we don't do Lucha Dragons, we could do the Dudleys. Yeah, they're part timers, but it's
Yeah. If you're gonna have the Dudleys in a match at Mania, and it's gonna be for the title,
they could easily set that up coming up. So
yes, but I remember on a Talk is Jericho episode, Bubba really pushed the idea like incredibly forcefully that he wants a match with the Usos. So I would almost think that for a Dudley title match at Mania, it would be the Usos and nobody else, which I think would necessitate the Usos beating the New Day at Fastlane. But
well, my thing is if it's not at WrestleMania, if you don't do Usos versus Dudleys at WrestleMania, you could have Dudleys versus New Day. Dudleys take the title, then you give it a little bit of time because you can have New Day and Dudleys go at it for a little bit. You could build it up for a SummerSlam match if you want to do it at one of the four majors. But then New Day or Usos win.
Yeah, that would be a long game, but yeah, that could absolutely work.
I'm just counting up some championships. So 8 in ECW, 9 at Hustle, 2 IWGP, so that's 11. 2 CW, that's 12. NWA World Tag is 13. TNA makes it up to 15. WWE 16. WWF 8. So 16, so that's 24. WCW World Tag Team Championship, that is 25.
I know they've said they're 24-time champions, so
they're either ignoring the Hustle or the 2CW Championship.
Probably 2CW.
Unless you're looking at one of the WWF and WCW Tag Team Champion, like, because they held them at the same time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
Maybe
that could be it.
That could be part of it. Or I'm bad at math and I counted wrong. I'll have to look back. I'm not going to do it now because I wasted enough time with this. Yeah. So, I mean, that was Raw and our speculation on how this is going forward into Fastlane. What else do you have to talk about, Nick, in regards to wrestling?
There have been a few interesting developments with Lucha Underground, with Impact, with New Japan, specifically people leaving New Japan. Next week on Lucha Underground, I would have talked this week's Lucha Underground, but Garvin's not here, so go listen to Fans Talk Lucha for a recap on that. But PJ Black, formerly known as Justin Gabriel, will be making his Lucha Underground debut this week against Willie Mack. I think that's going to be a really fun match. It's going to be interesting to see what Willie Mack does to keep up with the Darewolf. That's going to be an incredibly entertaining match.
I laughed my ass off to myself when I saw you out of this because I'm not watching Lucha Underground just because I don't have it available. But thanks to James at BotchSpot, I might actually be able to subscribe to it. Thanks to my Roku and Sling. I'm just waiting to hear some details on can I get Lucha Underground on demand. If that's the case, if I could do that through Sling, I very well may be watching Lucha Underground.
Excellent.
But I did laugh my ass off because I had never seen Willie Mack before. And I thought Rodney Mack, who was at one point he worked for WWE supposedly for 2 years. And he worked at ECW for a little bit as one of the Baldies. But the best thing Rodney Mack was known for was being managed by Holla Holla Teddy Long, and being the husband of Jazz, who, to say, I have to say it, him and his wife were released in the same day from WWE. Jazz was not an attractive woman, but she was a badass in the ring. So, it's a bummer that it ended the way it did, but that's all I know Rodney Mack from. So, yeah. But yeah, no, that's what I thought when you said, Willie Mack. I thought Rodney Mack. So anyway, continue.
Yeah, no, Willie Mack is way more talented. Also coming up this week, we've got a hardcore war going down on Impact Wrestling. It's going to be an 8-man tag match, and I think it's going to be really interesting. On one side, you got Beer Money and the Wolves, and on the other side, you've got a whole crew of deranged maniacs in Eric Young, Bram, and the newly formed team of the Decay. That is Abyss and Crazy Steve. And I love the Decay with what they've shown us the last 2 weeks. Crazy Steve turns out he's a lot more talented than TNA had previously given him credit for. He was absolutely nothing to speak of when he was with the Menagerie, and since then he's kind of been spinning his wheels. He's been getting a lot of crowd support just because of his antics, but he's never really shown us any in-ring work. But now, just the wanton disregard for his own well-being. Abyss chokeslammed him onto, I think it was Eddie Edwards this week, and took it like it was nothing. And they've also got a valet named Rosemary. She's Courtney Rush on the indie scene. Very talented wrestler in her own right. And the way those two play off each other, it's dark, it's disturbing, it's scary, and I love it. We haven't seen something like this in a while on Impact, and I am absolutely looking forward to more. And finally, little bit of development on the Shinsuke Nakamura front. He had his farewell match in New Japan this week. I did not get the privilege to watch it in its entirety, but somebody did make a clip of the closing moments. Nakamura hit the Bomaye on, let me see if I remember this right. Yeah, he hit it on Shibata, and instead of taking the pin himself, he gave the victory to his oldest friend in Chaos, Tomohiro Ishii. And there are all kind of feels for that. So Nakamura is officially done with New Japan, and he is reporting to the Performance Center this week, I believe.
Fantastic.
The king of strong styles in the United States.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, touching back on the Decay, I'm not a big fan of Abyss.
Yeah.
I've liked the character earlier on. I just feel it's gotten a little... I haven't liked where it's gone, and then all the Joseph Park stuff, and yeah. But to see they're actually utilizing Crazy Steve, because I think the guy had a lot more potential than when they were doing in the Menagerie. I think they really dropped the ball in the Menagerie. Mm-hmm. I'm glad to hear they're doing something with him. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, haven't really seen anything out of Abyss yet. He's basically just the physical monster, lending a little bit of legitimacy, a little more clout, I guess you could say, to the new team. But yeah, those two are gelling really well for a team so early on.
Fantastic. Well, Nick, if you've got nothing else, do you want to head over to Win Fail?
Let's do it.
Women wrestlers aren't getting paid? Why do you do a job?
Here is your win.
You do any job,
and fail
is to fucking get paid!
of the week.
For those of you joining the conversation for the first time, Win Fail is our chance to acknowledge both the best and worst things that happened in WWE this week. Nick, what is your win of the week?
I've got 3 wins, one from a different promotion. First of all, from the WWE, I'm giving my win to The Miz. Again, I think he handled this segment with AJ on Miz TV incredibly well. Just had the crowd eating out of the palm of his hand, just feeding that disdain, that dislike, and, converting it into crowd support for AJ. Well done. And, just to reiterate again from TNA, The Decay. Loving what I've seen, looking forward to more. And finally, from Lucha Underground, Eva Lise was on fire this week. There were 3 matches in an hour-long show, and she was in 2 of them, and she blew it up. And it was for the top title, the Lucha Underground Championship, against Mil Muertes. She stood her own. She stood her ground, and she kicked ass in that match. It's fantastic.
And now I'm unmuted. Fantastic, Nick. My win of the week is Sasha Banks' break from Team Bad. While I'm not exactly sure where they're going toward WrestleMania, I like this. It shows that Sasha can still be a badass bitch, and she still got the character of being that badass bitch, being the boss, the legit boss. She still got the attitude, which is so damn necessary. But the fact that she's like, I'm going to do this on my own, bitches, you guys don't need to help me, I love it. I'm really excited, and I can't wait to see more of it. What is your fail of the week, Nick?
I think I'm going to throw it at Lillian Garcia. I don't know what she's still doing there. I think she should have moved on, focused on writing songs, making records. The transgression this week was announcing the Usos and calling them Grammy Award winning Tag Team of the Year rather than Slammy. And, JBL gave her all kinds of shit for that, which...
Rightfully so.
Yeah, but, pot calling kettle black and everything. I don't know.
There's a big difference between JBL fucking up and I think Lillian fucking up. Only because I know she's got to memorize all the weights in the hometowns and all that, but she doesn't have to really call things on the fly like JBL does. He's got to come up with stuff on the spot. Lillian doesn't.
I question how much JBL has to come up with on the spot, considering he calls the same spots and uses the same dozen cliches every week.
But you get where I'm coming from. He's got people yelling in his ear. I don't think she does.
Yeah, I think Lillian did her time. She was okay for a while there, but now you've got better and, frankly, younger talent stepping up. So, sail off into the sunset. And
which she already did once.
Yeah, I don't know why she came back. Honorary mention for fail goes to R-Truth because, damn it, Truth, you son of a bitch, Golden Truth needs to happen.
Yes, it does, I guess. My fail is, I've already brought it up on the show, so I'm not going to dive hugely into it. The Nikki Bella update with this possibly ending her career, and all the rumors saying that it looks more likely that it won't be her, that this is the end of her, that it is the end of her career. Yeah, I don't want light shed on that. Shed more on it when she's building to come back if she's coming back. Yeah. I want to, no offense to her, I want to forget her. Because if I'm not going to see her in the ring, I don't want to remember her. Because I don't want to be like, ooh, I'd really like to see that match. Not that I've ever said that about Bella's match. But I don't want that potential. I don't need to have something that I can't show me something I can't have.
Yeah,
but
I see that.
Then again, I still look at porn. So I just... I'm kidding, honey. Not that you're going to ever listen to the show. Anything else that you want to say before we get out of here, Nick?
No, I just hope wrestling continues to be as good as it was this week. Watchable intro on Raw, great Lucha Underground, maybe better NXT, I don't know, maybe. But, yeah.
Excellent. I've got nothing else to say. So, this series, as well as the rest of the podcast released through thefanstalkpodcast.com, are supported exclusively by our Patreon subscribers. You can subscribe today for as little as $1 a month to receive early access to our content, as well as get your ears on some exclusive content that we produce throughout the month. For Nick and the absent Garvin, my name is Joe, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Fans Talk Pro Wrestling is part of the Fans Talk Podcast family. It can be found at fanstalkprowrestling.com. The Fans Talk Podcast family is a subsidiary of Tycar Creative, LLC. That's it, bitches. We out.
Yeah.